This is our cat, Tiger, and we will be dissecting it and showing you the muscles and perhaps some of the organs. This is the anterior end, which is near the head, and then here's the posterior. And then we'll also be saying this is the ventral side, which is on its abdominal side, and then dorsal is on the back. First are the pectoral muscles. This is the xiphoid humerus, which originates in the xiphoid process and then inserts in the humerus, and it works in adduction. Next is the pectoralis minor, which originates in the sternum and inserts in the humerus. Here's the dividing line between the major and minor. So here is the pectoralis major, and it originates in the sternum and inserts in the humerus. Over here is the pecto antebrachialis, and it originates in the manubrium and inserts in the fascia of the ulna, which is near the elbow. The last muscle in this area is the latissimus dorsi, and it originates in the mid-dorsal line from the 4th thoracic vertebrae to the 6th lumbar vertebrae, and it inserts in the humerus. And this works in caudal depression, which brings the humerus back when the cat is running. This is the external oblique. It originates from the lumbodorsal fascia, and it inserts on the linea alba, which is on the ventral surface. Underneath that is the internal oblique, and then underneath that is the transverse abdominis. On the ventral side is the rectus abdominis, which is on both sides of the linea alba, which originates from the pubis and inserts on the upper ribs and the sternum. And this works in flexion, while the other muscles works in compressing the abdominal wall. This is the sternomastoid. It originates from the manubrium of the sternum and inserts on the mastoid process of the skull. It functions in rotating and depressing the head. The sternohyoid is in the center, and it originates on the manubrium and inserts on the hyoid bone. It depresses the hyoid bone and larynx. Here is the sternothyroid. It originates on the first rib cartilage and inserts on the thyroid cartilage. It acts to pull the larynx causally. The mylohyoid is here, and it originates on the mandible and inserts on the mid-ventral raft. It acts to elevate the floor of the mouth. The digastric is on either side, and it originates on the mastoid process and inserts on the mandible. It depresses the mandible. And then the masseter originates on the zygomatic arch, and it inserts on the mandible, and it functions in elevating the mandible. We have opened up our cat and we are now looking at on the inside. Here is the stomach, which lies on the left side of the upper abdomen and works in digestion. We opened up the stomach and found no worms. From the stomach goes the small intestines, which is here. It's very long. It's very important in chemical digestion and nutrient absorption. And there's three parts of it, which include the duodenum, jejunum, and ileum. From the small intestine, it goes to the large intestine,
And the kidneys are
right here.
filter and remove
And
waste products in the body.
at the beginning of the large intestine, there's a sac-like projection called the cecum.
Okay.
Here's the spleen, and it is a dark-colored organ that lies left to the stomach. It's an organ that is part of the circulatory system.
Mr. Demos, do we need to like pack it with anything or like to ensure?
Here's the diaphragm. It's a thin-shaped dome. It's a thin dome-shaped muscle that separates the abdominal cavity from the thoracic cavity. It is an important muscle for the breathing process. Here's the thoracic cavity. Here is the heart, part of the circulatory system, and the lungs are on either side, which is part of the respiratory system.
Action can get to all the other muscles.